Theoretically, you could create as large a schematic as you want on a single sheet on a schematic editor, or even use multiple sheets if you feel like. But there are some limitations for a flat schematic. A flat schematic becomes inefficient as more and more components are added to the schematic structure, since the entire design must be captured with primitives. If there are repeated structures, they must be captured for every occurrence. Therefore, large designs become inefficient or impractical as they require enormous resources such as data storage, and edits must be applied to every instance of the repeated structure. It even becomes difficult to locate or correct design problems in such a large schematic. So, to overcome the limitations of a flat schematic, you create symbols for your schematic diagrams and use them to create a hierarchical design. So, what are some of the advantages of using a hierarchy? So, now a symbol can represent a simple or complex schematic. A single schematic design can be used for repeated cells. Edits or design corrections to repeated structures require only a single correction, which propagates through all the structures. A block level diagram can represent an entire system, a subsystem, a small circuit, or a repeated structure. And the team members working on a project can be assigned blocks that can be captured independently. So there are some design requirements that must be met before you use symbols in a hierarchy. Each symbol must properly reference a component, schematic, or behavioral view. It should correctly pass all connectivity information in and out. Have symbol pins that correspond correctly to the pins and their associated names on the schematic view. It must reference a cell view that has been checked and saved, and these must be checked and saved as a separate symbol view. So in the library manager, for each cell you will see a schematic view and a corresponding symbol view. And each symbol must have parameters that contain valid expressions or values where the symbol is instantiated. To create a symbol from the schematic that you have just created, from your schematic editor menu, choose Create and Cell View from Cell View to bring up the automatic symbol generator from the schematic window. A template file is used for the symbol creation. There are different symbol template files for different tools in the Virtuoso design environment. To make sure the analog symbol generation template is used in your design, put the command visible on your screen in your .cds init file. You can load this in the CIW input section if you have already invoked Virtuoso. And you can even set this in one of the setup forms for creating your symbol cell view. Remember that failure to set this environment variable to analog would result in a digital symbol creation, and so if you are working on an analog design, ensure that you are using the analog symbol template. This slide emphasizes graphically on what I mentioned on the previous slide. From the Create menu, choose the Cell View from Cell View option. It opens the form you see on the screen. And your library name and the cell name should not change as the schematic is already drawn, and for that schematic you're creating a symbol in that same library for that particular cell view. You can set the from view name and the to view name fields, and they work like your source and destination names. Ensure that the data type is set to schematic symbol. Notice that the from view name and the to view name fields can be modified in the cell view from cell view form. And this provides a way to create other views such as behavioral or AHDL from your schematics. You can now go ahead and click Apply or OK to open the Symbol Generation Options form. In the Symbol Generation Options form, you can designate pin locations. You can specify them to be on the left side, right, top or bottom. Conventionally, input pins are to the left and output pins are to the right, but your design could warrant something totally different, and that's okay as long as you designate them correctly over here. There are some additional options that you can enable, and we continue discussing the setup on the next slide. As I mentioned on the previous slide, you can enable additional options on this form. Suppose you enable the load or save and edit attributes options. The form expands and you can see additional information for each section, as you can see in the form at the top. In the load or save section, ensure that the analog template is used for symbol creation. In the edit attributes section, you can specify additional attributes for pin spacing, type of the pin connector, stub length, etc. And enabling the edit labels and edit properties options expands the form as you see here in the bottom snapshot. In the edit label section, you can specify options for the font, justification and location of the symbol labels among other options. You can create new properties and add them to your symbol in the edit properties section. Symbols are created and are visible in the Virtuoso symbol editor and not in the Virtuoso schematic editor. Symbols have a separate editor and this editor could open in a new window. An automatically generated symbol cell view includes pins, a rectangular graphic as you see here, and some labels. It can be modified using the symbol editor, and here you see the black box of a newly created symbol in the symbol editor. You should choose the analog template if you want to create an analog symbol. That's because symbol generation depends on the symbol template selected either in the .cds init file or by the symbol generation form. Interpreted labels allows information to appear near the symbol after it is placed in another cell view. For the label generation template, there are three label types: CDS term, labels display pin names or net names. Each CDS param label can display a parameter of the instance and there can be multiples of this label, and CDS name labels display the instance or the cell name. You may have same or different symbols created for a variety of schematic captures. In your current symbol editor session, you may want to use a symbol that is already created for a different schematic and work with that. You can do this by importing the symbol. You can choose create and select import symbol to bring up a form in which you can specify the symbol you want to import and also determine its placement orientation. So you can specify the library name, the cell name, the view name of the symbol that you want to import, and then you can click hide and place it in your symbol editor. Note that this is a create menu from the symbol editor that we are using.